In the realm of combat sports, there are those who merely compete and those who transcend the ring to become legends. Among the latter stands Naoya Inoue, a figure who defies conventional boxing stereotypes. Known globally as the Monster, Inoue fuses surgical precision with feral intensity, embodying a rare hybrid of discipline and destruction. His performances are not just victories, they are exhibitions of technical mastery, physical domination, and psychological warfare. He doesn't merely defeat his opponents. He dismantles them piece by piece, methodically and mercilessly. Born in Zama, Kanagawa Prefecture, Japan, Inoue's foundation was built upon traditional Japanese values: respect, humility, and honor. These principles were instilled by his father and lifelong trainer, Shingo Inoue, who molded Naoya's approach to boxing from a young age. Shingo didn't raise a brute force fighter. He raised a technician, a tactician, and a competitor who understood that true strength lies in mastery over the self. But the world outside the dojo is less reverent. Inoue's rise was marked by the disrespect of rivals and skepticism from critics who viewed Japanese fighters as regional stars incapable of global dominance. These doubts fueled Inoue's fire and transformed him from a national treasure into an international nightmare. When Naoya Inoue emerged onto the professional scene, his knockout power instantly caught attention. He wasn't content with point-scoring wins. He delivered performances that bordered on violent poetry. Opponents with longer reaches, heavier bodies, and louder mouths were all reduced to the same conclusion: they underestimated the wrong man. He wasn't brash or boastful. He didn't need to be. Every punch, every movement, every calculated assault in the ring told his story far better than words ever could. The first major turning point in his career came when he moved up from superflyweight to bantamweight to challenge British champion Jamie McDonnell for the WBA world title. McDonnell, with his height and reach advantages, treated the challenge with thinly veiled arrogance. He quipped about Inoue's stature, mocked his name, and behaved as though the Japanese contender were simply a stepping stone on the way to bigger fights. The media in the UK largely played along, painting Inoue as an intriguing but untested challenger. But the moment the first bell rang, that narrative crumbled in spectacular fashion. Inoue didn't just beat McDonnell, he obliterated him. The first round was a study in brutality and brilliance. McDonnell, attempting to control distance with his jab, quickly realized that Inoue's timing and footwork rendered his strategy useless. A sharp left hand cut through McDonnell's guard, followed by a ferocious sequence of body shots and uppercuts. Within 2 minutes, the British fighter was reeling, his legs betraying his disbelief. Inoue cornered him with relentless pressure, mixing precision with ferocity, and forced the referee to stop the bout before McDonnell could suffer permanent damage. It was a statement not just of victory, but of arrival. The Monster had stepped out of Japan and into the global spotlight. From that moment forward, Inoue's reputation grew rapidly, not only among hardcore boxing aficionados, but also among mainstream audiences. His fights became must-watch events even when they took place in time zones that required fans to wake up at ungodly hours. But with international acclaim came new levels of scrutiny. Many still questioned his ability to perform on American soil, against American fighters, under the brightest lights and heaviest expectations. His U.S. debut was highly anticipated. Across the ring stood a brash and undefeated fighter from Cleveland who had built a name through grit and resilience. Confident and dismissive, he referred to Inoue as an overhyped regional fighter. He implied that Japanese boxing lacked depth and that Inoue's record was padded with nobodies. American commentators debated whether Inoue could handle the pressure and whether his power would translate against tougher, more physical competition. When fight night arrived, Inoue didn't speak much during the pre-fight interviews. He didn't respond to the taunts or partake in the trash talk. Instead, he saved his replies for the canvas. From the opening seconds, Inoue established dominance. His jab was like a laser beam, setting the stage for devastating right hands and liver-piercing left hooks. The American fighter, full of bravado, found himself flustered by the angles, the movement, and the punishing accuracy of every shot. He tried to adjust, swinging wild hooks and engaging in close exchanges. But nothing landed clean. Inoue was already 2 steps ahead, slipping shots and countering with mechanical efficiency. By the second round, the tide had shifted so dramatically that even the partisan crowd in the arena couldn't ignore it. Gasps turned into stunned silence, which then morphed into reluctant applause. Fans who had come to see their hometown hero witnessed a beatdown of such artistic violence that even they had to respect it. By the end of the 6th round, the Americans' corner had seen enough. Their fighter was bloodied, bruised, and beaten in every facet of the game. Inoue had turned a skeptic into a believer and a challenger into a casualty. But not every opponent needed words to show disrespect. Some used actions far more provocative. Perhaps the most volatile episode in Inoue's career came during his build-up to the fight with Puerto Rican champion Emmanuel Rodriguez. Rodriguez was undefeated, tough as nails, and had never been knocked down. But what truly escalated the tension was an incident during a pre-fight event. Rodriguez's trainer, in a moment of sheer disrespect, shoved Shingo Inoue, Naoya's father and lifelong coach. It was a violation that transcended sport and touched a nerve in Naoya that very few ever had. Inoue didn't react publicly. He didn't throw a fit or call a press conference. Instead, he internalized the insult, letting it smolder into a cold resolve. When the fight began, Rodriguez came out strong, looking to assert dominance. He applied pressure, confident that he could go toe-to-toe. But within moments, Inoue's counters found their mark. A thundering left hook detonated on Rodriguez's chin, sending him to the mat for the first time in his professional career. He got up, dazed and visibly shaken, but Inoue wasn't finished. A lightning-quick combination to the body folded Rodriguez in half, robbing him of air and strength. In less than 2 rounds, an undefeated world champion had been completely broken. The shove to Shingo had been paid back with fists, and the interest was crushing. Inoue's ambition didn't stop with the bantamweight division. He sought out greater challenges, bigger names, and more history to make. His next move was into the super bantamweight class, a leap that many questioned. There, he set his sights on Stephen Fulton, an undefeated American champion known for his slick footwork, defensive prowess, and ring IQ. Fulton wasn't arrogant. He spoke with respect, but there was an unmistakable tone of doubt in his voice. It was clear he viewed Inoue as a dangerous threat, but one he believed he could outbox. For many analysts, this was the ultimate litmus test for Inoue. Could he hang with an elite technician who had dominated a stacked division? The answer came swiftly and decisively. From the opening bell, Inoue was a revelation. His jab wasn't just a rangefinder, it was a weapon. He used it to control tempo, disrupt rhythm, and open Fulton's guard. Fulton, known for dictating pace, suddenly found himself reacting instead of leading. Inoue's footwork was sublime, allowing him to cut angles and create openings that defied traditional boxing logic. The combinations flowed like a symphony, sharp, fast, and unrelenting. Fulton was game but clearly outmatched. By the 7th round, the gap in class had become undeniable. Inoue, sensing the end, unleashed a brutal sequence. A perfectly timed right hand buckled Fulton's knees, followed by a left hook that sent him crashing to the canvas. Though Fulton rose bravely, his defenses were gone. Inoue swarmed him with a barrage of punches that left the referee with no choice but to stop the fight. Another weight class conquered, another champion dethroned. Inoue wasn't just winning, he was ascending toward all-time greatness. The most emotionally charged bout of his career came against Luis Neri in 2024. Neri was a talented but controversial figure, once heralded, later vilified. He had failed drug tests and missed weight, earning him the scorn of boxing purists, and especially Japanese fans. His victory over Shinsuke Yamanaka, a Japanese legend, was tainted by scandal, and for many, Neri represented a villainous chapter in the sport. Inoue saw this fight as more than a title defense. It was a battle for redemption, one that carried the emotional weight of a nation. The energy in the arena that night was electric. Japanese fans had not forgotten Neri's past transgressions, and they roared with anticipation as Inoue entered the ring. Neri came out aggressive, swinging with bad intentions, but Inoue, calm and laser-focused, countered with precision. He avoided wild hooks, punished every mistake, and targeted the body with unrelenting fury. Round by round, Neri's resolve eroded. By the middle rounds, he was gasping, his punches slower, his eyes searching for answers that weren't there. Inoue closed the show with ruthless efficiency, knocking Neri out cold and avenging the scars left behind by Yamanaka's defeat. It wasn't just a victory, it was a purification. Across divisions, continents, and cultures, Naoya Inoue has silenced doubters and punished the disrespectful. His resume is a graveyard of former champions, each bearing witness to the same truth. The monster is not a myth. He's a reality, sharp, unforgiving, and inevitable. Inoue doesn't play mind games or seek the spotlight through antics. He earns his reputation the old-fashioned way, with sweat, discipline, and destruction. His story isn't just about belts and knockouts. It's about pride, honor, and the quiet fury of a man who refuses to be underestimated. Every time someone mocks his name, his country, or his legacy, Inoue responds not with words, but with war. And when he steps into the ring, he doesn't just fight for himself. He fights for everyone who has ever been overlooked, disrespected, or dismissed. Naoya Inoue doesn't just sign fight contracts, he signs verdicts. And every opponent who stands across from him learns the same thing. The monster always collects.